Why, hello, you amazing, beautiful people, and welcome back to another solo leveling cut content reaction video. And I believe, unless there's something else going on I don't know about, this is the last one. This is literally the last time we are going to record this. And considering they haven't announced Solo Leveling Season 3, this is a little bit of a worrying reaction. I've heard a bunch of different things from different people. Apparently it is coming, apparently it's already on the works, apparently they just haven't announced it yet, apparently it could be years, is another thing I've heard, and apparently the creator, the person mainly behind it, is focusing on other projects and has put Solo Leveling on the back burner, which all of the last one definitely sounds the most surprising considering the popularity of Solo Leveling. You would assume it would get fast track, so the fact that it hasn't, even based on its sheer size, yeah, a little bit worrying, I'm gonna be honest, man. Can you imagine if an anime of this popularity just stops? I don't want to imagine that world. Anyway, today is gonna be the last Solo Leveling reaction for a long time. Shout out AniNews for making these incredible videos. Go check out their channel, link to it in the description, but I'm gonna stop talking. You all came here for the last cut content part, so let's do it. Press that like button, press that subscribe button, and let's jump into my first time ever reaction to AniNews' Solo Leveling Season 2, the finale cut content.
So here we are on the last episode of cut content for Season 2, and what we have is quite a lot. Even if you set aside the scenes with America, which will no doubt be in Season 3, the full aftermath of the Jeju Island raid was pretty extensive. From Sung being treated like Superman to an emotional meeting with Min's mom, the whole arc is brought to a close rather nicely. So, if you want to know Korea's full reaction to what's essentially Sung's debut, then stick around because it's actually pretty interesting. Since this is the last episode though, I just want to say thanks again for all the support this season, and if you do plan on sticking around, there'll be plenty of content for ReZero, Danmachi, and Overlord next. If that's not your cup of tea though, then I guess I'll see you again when Season 3 comes around. But anyway.
So, shout out AniNews. Like he just said, if you want to support his freaking channel, link in the description, go show us some love. These videos have been incredible.
Let's start things off the moment Sung finished up his business at Jeju Island. This is where the novel gives us a whole lot more, since he would fly Kaisel back to Korea, then land his dragon right on the doorsteps of the Hunter Association. It was a spectacle that brought many of the monitoring division hunters outside ready for a fight. It was when they saw it belonged to Sung though, that's when they would greet him as they would any other S-rank hunter. So, Sung would...
These hunters saw Jinwoo and they were ready for a fight. They knew they were going to lose, but they were ready. It wouldn't even be a fight.
Request to meet Chairman Go, which for any other person would have been denied instantly. Like, even the most prominent ministers of government had to wait at least a week before they could talk to him. This, however, was Sung Jinwoo, and based on what he had just accomplished, it was more than likely the chairman was dying to talk to him. One of the association hunters would call the chairman just to confirm, then proceed to inform Sung that he was at the hospital monitoring the situation with Cha. So, if we switch over to what was happening there, the doctor we saw alongside Chairman Go before was now checking up on Cha to make sure she was okay.
You've got to love how the chairman is like, where is he? Immediately after Cha is injured, he's with Cha. That's pretty awesome.
As bad as things looked on TV, he was shocked to see she had recovered perfectly. Where before she had a poor complexion due to crazy hemorrhaging, now she seemed just fine.
She's looking good.
It was a stark contrast to what he was expecting. Now, while the chairman did know how it was Cha turned out this way, that was information he decided to withhold. Reason being that Sung's power wasn't something he would willingly spread like that. No, instead he decided to say it was the work of the 2 A-rank healers he had at the helipad. That being the case, so far everyone that knew about the true nature of Sung's abilities also knew to keep it a secret. It was then that the doctor would bring up Sung for a different reason, revealing how his mother was a patient at their hospital. This much the chairman knew already, so he immediately thought the doctor was gonna say she finally succumbed to her eternal sleep disease. What he said instead though was the exact opposite. He would explain to the chairman that Sung's mother actually woke up from it. The chairman's doctor wasn't in the know at first, but when the raid happened and Sung appeared on screen, a lot of the higher-ups who did started bringing it up again. The chairman would then hear about it from him, and that's when he would start piecing together an answer to the question that was plaguing him earlier. You see, it was once...
So the chairman's doctors knew, but the chairman himself didn't know at this point. I can imagine that makes sense. I don't really know why the chairman's doctors would share that information with him. It'd be random for them. Like maybe people on his, team to share it with him. Even then, though, I mean, it is a big deal, actually. You know what? No, I don't know, it's still weird for a doctor to say that though.
He heard this awakening happened only 5
surprising.
days ago that now the chairman finally understood why Sung refused to participate in the raid. Back when he was watching, he couldn't quite piece it together, but knowing this and the fact his dad went missing in a gate almost a decade ago, it made sense why Sung wouldn't want to leave his mother to participate in the most dangerous raid Korea's faced ever.
Yeah.
It was 2 massive reasons the chairman couldn't help but feel careless for not recognizing sooner. In fact, it actually made him appreciate what Sung did for them even more now.
It does make
He had shown
sense
once
when you
again
think,
just how rare of a person he was.
when you think from the chairman's perspective as well, like Jinwoo just seems hungry to fight. So I imagine at the moment it's kind of like the guy who seems to want to fight everybody don't want to fight.
It was then that an association employee would inform the chairman about Min's mother, specifically how they couldn't get into contact with her. It was an expected response considering how she'd learned of her son's death through the TV. Not only that, but she had also called the association herself to confirm whether it was true or not. So, Min's mother was already well aware of her son's tragic fate, and she was now prepping for a funeral that wouldn't even have his body. If you remember from what I said last video, I know the anime shows the S-ranks extracting with it, but in the novel they couldn't since it was too dangerous. Min's body was still at the island lost in the ant tunnels. It's for this reason the chairman decided to go see her in person, but not before meeting with Sung first. Normally Min's mom would have been the priority, but when a person like Sung says he's trying to get in contact, the chairman knew he better make the arrangements.
Yeah, so you mean you
Now,
don't know
for
if it's
Sung,
like
who was waiting for the
world
chairman's
is gonna
arrival,
rock, like
he was being treated far differently from the last time he was
you
here.
kind of want to speak to
Where
that guy.
before the employees didn't really know him, now they were treating him like royalty. Even the chairman himself expressed more consideration than usual because at the moment Sung was the person who deserved respect the most. So, first the chairman would inform Sung he knew what happened in the tunnel, followed by a statement saying he knew how he got there too.
God, man, I want to watch
Only
it
the
again.
former point was
So
accurate though,
good.
since for the latter, Chairman Go assumed it was explained via Kaisel. After seeing Sung arrive on the back of Kaisel here, the chairman just assumed that's how he got to Jeju there.
The
Sung
other guys-
saw no need to reveal yet another
Oh,
part of
with
his
the-
ability, so rather than correct
The team probably could think that as well, right? I was just about to say, like, surely every hunter on the island would know how Jinwoo got there, but they wouldn't, right? He just kind of appeared. And that could be due to speed, especially after they watched his fight with our ant boy. So maybe they all think he just rode in on a dragon as well, which is kind of a cool sentence, by the way.
the
Bro went
chairman
full
for being
Khaleesi.
mistaken, he simply nodded his head since that to him would make flying around on Kaisel a whole lot easier. Now the people would know the dragon flying in the sky belonged to him.
Oh
As
yeah,
for
because when
why
he first
Sung
did it, there
wanted
was a
to
load
talk
of
to the chairman
issues.
himself. Well, that was to simply inform him that every ant on the island was dead now. He was essentially giving the chairman the green light to proceed with whatever operations came next. This was news the chairman was only shocked by for a little bit, since when he remembered how Sung had hundreds of summons to fight for him, the thought of clearing the island didn't seem so impossible anymore. He figured them combing the island would result in its extermination a lot faster than anticipated.
Yeah.
So, this is how the chairman knew
Like a
he could
day?
send a team in, and that's how he managed to retrieve Min's body for the funeral. Before, the loss of Min's body was a tragedy that weighed heavily on him, but now that he knew Min's body was salvageable, words couldn't describe how grateful he was. This brings us now to what I would have considered an iconic scene, since it really
I thought
hammers home the
Sung
impact
Jinwoo
Sung
found
had on the
Min's body.
country.
Oh no, for the
You
summoning
see,
he did.
it was after the meeting that the chairman would offer Sung a ride home with one of the association cars. To Sung, this was just another typical display of gratitude, but what the chairman intended for it was something far greater. I mean, he was well aware Sung could easily fly home on Kaisel or even run there faster, but in the process that would ignore one of the most important aspects of being a top-ranked hunter. It would ignore the people who've come to adore him. What people might I be talking about? Well, before Sung
Everybody.
had arrived, barely anyone was at the association, but
What people were you talking about? Yeah, that's just the entire planet. I think everybody kind of wants to fucking speak to you at this point, dude.
in the time it took for them to finish their conversation,
And I mean,
a
there's-
huge crowd had gathered, leaving no openings at all.
All of Korea, man.
Every single person had
In
come
Korea.
solely for him.
There you go.
It wasn't just reporters or members of the press either, but also regular people too, all wanting to glimpse the person who saved their country.
Shit, man, I
There
want to
was
see it.
one single headline which suggested the shadowy dragon at the association was Sung's, and that was all it took for the news of his location to spread like wildfire.
I love that it says, I see a certain demon girl there. I love that it says the man who saved the country. And then if you didn't read the line below it, even though it's bigger, they could just be talking about a dragon. Is this the man who saved the country? He looks a lot like a dragon.
It was enough of a rumor to bring droves of people wanting to see whether what the article supposed was true or
look
not.
at that drawing, it's gorgeous.
It was when Sung saw just how many people were there for him that all sorts of emotions welled up inside him. It was the first time he'd experienced anything like this. And though Sung didn't fully understand it at the moment, the chairman helped him by explaining how this was what their country was looking for. You see, as the only country on Earth to lose part of their land to monsters, what Korea needed now more than ever was a victory. For 2 years, their people had been enduring endless humiliation from across the globe. Combine that with the fact Jeju Island wasn't raidable without the help of others, and what you get is a population filled with doubt in their own country's capabilities. Now, they weren't necessarily wrong for thinking that, but that perception did a complete 180 when Sung showed up. With the mighty Japanese retreating and their own hunters on the brink of losing, Sung swooped in to dissuade the country's feelings of powerlessness.
God damn, man. Every time I see him walking through his own shadows, I want to watch that scene again.
So
in
a way, he was exactly what the country was looking for when they needed it. He was a hero that those lucky enough to witness on TV now wanted to see in person.
Look at this.
So, though Chairman Go knew Sung could easily get home just by flying, he advised against it since he knew better than anyone the people needed to see their hero.
Did he say
it was
this
advice that would lead to a scene very reminiscent from this one in Batman vs. Superman. Sung would exit the building to a crowd in awe, and not a single person would proceed to say anything. They would simply stare in silence, taking in the hero in front of them. Wu and the other agents would then clear a path.
I was just thinking, like, that wouldn't happen. But you know what? That might happen. Like, think about it from your point of view. If you saw someone like Jim Woo, the fuck you gonna say? Like, if that was real life, you might just be like, oh my fucking god. Although in today's world, you'd probably get a bunch of bellends being like, hey, skibbity toilet, or some fucking stupid shit.
Sung, all with the exception of one single old man. It was the grandpa you may recognize from this scene here. An old man wanting to bear witness to their son's avenger.
That's a real nice touch.
Here he was right in front of Sung, tears streaming down his face as he expressed gratitude. He was thanking Sung for finally granting his son a proper rest. Sung would respond by saying it was simple.
I said this in the last freaking when they brought up the old guy. I was like, it seems a bit odd that they had this random tangent when they just start talking about this dude, but that would be a perfect full circle to that situation, and it ties it all off very nicely.
What had to be done, then proceed to the car where the crowd would follow. It was while leaving that everywhere he looked, people's heads would lower out of respect for him. They were greetings he knew were filled with genuine appreciation.
Scary.
It was by the time Sung could see the crowd no longer that's when he'd realized how fast his heart was beating. He was finally coming to terms with what exactly he accomplished. So, where before he was reluctant to parade himself in public like that, now he was kinda glad he did. To him, every gaze was a proper reward for a job well done. It was once reality came crashing back down that Sung would remember the state he left his mom in. As it turns out, he had actually just straight up broke their TV here. It was also his mom wouldn't find out he was a hunter yet. So, checking his phone
no
would reveal
fucking way she
13
doesn't
missed
know,
calls
dude.
from home, followed by a crazy amount of discourse about him online. With what was essentially his public debut now complete, people were expressing their thoughts on it endlessly. They were discussions exactly like the ones you'd expect to find in the weekly episode reviews on Reddit. One such topic was one you'd see in almost every post, since it was a debate that begged the ultimate question of how strong he was. Some suggested as strong as the national level.
Funny how, nah, he's not that good, you need to chill out. Honestly, fucking hilarious. That's like what people say when you like an anime. Alright, this anime is mid, bro. You need to calm down. We need to calm down here. Mid anime, bro. Have you ever heard of the anime Floop and the Flippin' Floop Flappin'? Come on, man. It had like 5 viewers. That's peak anime.
While others called them crazy for even thinking that. Naturally, there was criticism as well, since just like in the anime, many blamed him for the death of Min. For a while, no reason was given as to why Sung showed up late, but eventually the association did post an article about it.
They
simply mentioned how Sung was kept behind due to inexperience. As a hunter who was only a couple weeks ago the E
Actually,
rank, it made sense
yeah,
to call Sung
makes
a
sense.
reserve member intended only for emergencies.
I agree, makes
this
sense.
obviously wasn't the truth, but it was enough to at least convince the public.
Yeah, I would
It was
believe
the best
that. That
the
makes
chairman
sense.
could do to ease the criticism pointed towards Sung. It also kept his true reasons away from the spotlight. This, however, turned all that criticism towards the association, since it perpetuated the idea that had they gauged Sung's abilities properly to begin with, then perhaps Min would be alive right now. So all the blame was shifted towards them.
The thing is, Min 100% would be alive. Like, it is fully 100% on Jinwoo. And I think Jinwoo knows this, but Jinwoo didn't think there'd be any issue. So it was a misjudgment on his part, but it is his fault Min's dead. At the end of the day, if he did go to that island, not only would he not be dead, but all of the Japanese, like, everyone would have survived. There would be 0 casualties.
Yes, it may be at the expense of the association, but at least now Sung was well on his way to becoming the most famous hunter in the country. No longer were people blaming him for slacking off.
Yeah, definitely just
now
the country.
they were instead focusing on his accomplishment. Fast forward now to Min's funeral, and while initially intended to be this small private ceremony, it ended up being public due to the sheer number of people that wanted to pay their respects to him. Countless people showed up to honor his sacrifice. Excitement grew when Sung showed up himself, but that wasn't something Sung thought to be very respectful. Normally, he wouldn't care that people were looking or talking about him, but now was neither the time nor place for it. So, in order to bring things back to the solemn way it was, Sung would unleash the most minuscule portion of magical energy he could. It was an amount so tiny you couldn't even consider it a portion, but it was still more than enough to bring that mood back. Anyone yapping was now silent again. It was then that Min's mother would approach Sung herself, not to scold him like how everyone thought, but rather to thank him in person for what he did for her. You see, as the one who personally invited him to be here, she wanted to express her gratitude in person. Reason being that it was all because of Sung that Min's body could return back home to her. Had Sung not cleared the island as fast as he did, then there was a chance Min's body may have never been recovered. So, though Sung's reasons for killing the ants may not have been entirely that, ensuring Min could make it home was at least part of it. He didn't like the idea of his corpse rotting away forgotten in the darkness of the ant tunnels. This was a service Min's mother would be eternally grateful for, since with his help she was able to see her son one last time. Now, it was by the time she was done saying what she wanted to say that now she...
It's interesting that they add she was able to see her son one last time. When you think about the condition he was in, like, holy shit. Like, Jesus Christ. I can't imagine that is a pleasant goodbye. I'm never a big fan of funerals or weddings in, like, any kind of content. I feel like they really slow the momentum of any show. But I must admit, it is very touching how many people turned up for Min's funeral.
She would be shedding tears all over again. It was an emotional sight that would remind Sung of his own mom. He would envision
when he didn't
her
even
face
want to
overlapping
go.
with Min's mom's, leading to a lump in his throat that would choke him up a bit. The expressions and emotions she was displaying now were far too similar to the ones his own mom had when their dad went missing. But just like how his dad sacrificed his life to save numerous people, so did Min to save his fellow hunters. So while his fate was definitely tragic, it was helpful to know Min's sacrifice wasn't in vain. Now, if you're wondering what the final numbers for the raid were, there were 4,801 hunters called to arms, along with 727 awakened civilians who volunteered alongside them. 64 of them ended up dying, while 32 civilians were lost in the aftermath. So, while this was certainly a pretty high number, it was actually the least amount of casualties out of all the raids. Let's wrap things up with Sung finally back at home, where we find out—
Wait, the least amount of casualties? Oh, all the previous Jeju raids. Oh, okay, sorry. I was actually well confused for a second. I thought it meant like every raid in general. I was like, well, that's not true.
The discussion with his mom went well. Though news of him being a hunter was certainly shocking, she didn't object to it, as that was what Sung expressed as being the profession he wanted to keep pursuing. Yes, she was worried given what happened to their dad, but so long as Sung didn't push himself too hard, then she was okay with it.
Yeah, which
that being the case,
he never does
in
that.
the end, his goal would be the same it always was: survival. So, given the biggest obstacle of permission was clear, nothing was stopping Sung from establishing his own guild now. he could finally monopolize high-rank dungeons and level up without worry.
Time to be rich,
It was then that he'd remember the mystery item unveiled at level 100, which, if you blinked, then you probably missed it in the anime. I won't say any more than that, but I thought it cool that they decided to hint at it here. I'm sure you'll recognize this as a core component for the plot of Season 3. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the season.
Yes, I do. I recognize it as a core component.
Content, and I hope to see you soon in some of my next videos. If you want to subscribe, then that'd be great too, since we're getting close to 700,000
well
now.
done. You are so close,
and
bro.
And if you want to come hang out in the community Discord, I've been told that we're looking for new members. So the link to that will be down in the description. But anyway, until next time, ciao.
I really love AniNews' voice, man. Like, he has such a damn chilled voice. It's such a mellow, just like calming, relaxing voice. Like, I could listen to that guy talk for fucking ever. He's got such a great voice. Really, like, just love that guy, man. It's just so good. Honestly, before I even talk about anything solo leveling related, shout out once again AniNews. Like, there's so many damn fucking reactors these days, and I'm throwing shade in the anime scene, and I've been talking about this, but people don't seem to understand how annoying it is. Don't seem to be giving any love to the content creators they are reacting to the content of. All right, these amazing people literally create these videos so idiots like me can watch them and react to them. And without showing them love, it just makes no sense. So yeah, I do want to say, if you're not supporting AniNews, but you are watching these reactions, please go change that. Link to his channel is in the description, alright? Solo leveling, Season 2, for me, and I don't know how you guys feel, but for me, kicked the shit out of Season 1. And I really enjoyed Season 1. There was no point watching Season 1 that I wasn't into Season 1. Like, not one episode. I loved the whole momentum, I loved the story, I loved everything about it. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed Season 1. But I feel like Season 2 was just so fucking fun. It was brilliant, it was amazing, I had the best time, I was excited every week to watch new episodes. It was awesome. And I really have enjoyed doing this with Season 2. It's the first time I've ever done this with any anime. All the anime I've watched, I've never watched the cut content alongside the series. And I feel like it's really enhanced my viewer's experience as well. I've had a very fun time checking out the cut content, looking into more information, and then every time I go into the anime, it's like enhanced my viewing experience. So this might be something we'll do in the future as well for other series. I mean, Danmachi, Overlord, these are anime that I watch, so these are anime we can go into. ReZero the same. So, you know, we're not going anywhere from AniNews' channel, and a lot of you have been recommending a bunch of his other videos, and don't worry, we're gonna do them. Just make sure you're subscribed to the second channel so you don't miss it. I mean, we're on our way to 100k, and we've been growing very quickly, like more quickly than I expected. My forecasts for this channel for this year are already, like projections wise, have already been exceeded. So I want to just say thank you so much for supporting this channel as well. I really appreciate all you guys who have subscribed to this channel. We have grown so fast, so quickly on this channel as well, and it looks fairly possible that maybe one day we'll have a plaque next to that one, which honestly would be insane. But yeah, who knows? And then I can update my my Twitter picture. If you don't know, go follow me on Twitter. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. Please like the video and subscribe for more. Have yourselves an amazing day, and I guess now we properly wait for Solo Leveling Season 3. As always, my friends, you will see me in the next video.